Okay. So good morning guys and girls. I hope you all are well and good. My name is Nishant and welcome to the official YouTube channel of AD4IAS. As usual, we would be discussing one of the most important source of current affairs for civil services examination. And starting with the first article is the retelling of Indian migrant workers' flight. See, this can be connected with GS paper 3 economy. आप इकोनॉमी के साथ कनेक्ट कर सकते हो इसको. This article includes or is in reference to the migrants, migration. Whenever a person will shift from a specific region to another region, it can be from one country to the other country, it can be from the one city to the other city, it can be from one state to other state, migration. But as on December 18 is observed as International Migrants Day. So this article or the writer or the author has realized that there is a backdrop in the number of migrants. The main reason which he has mentioned is COVID-19 being the primary reason, COVID-19 being the primary reason, and other secondary reasons such as Russia-Ukraine war, such as Taliban taking over the Afghanistan, and poverty in the sub-Saharan region. Climate change also is one of the secondary reasons. So in some of the first initial paragraphs, the writers mention the data. What is the data? As per International Organization Migration, World Migration Report, there were 281 international migrants globally in 2020, 169 labor migrants. South Asia's share was only 40%. Long-term data on international migration show that migration is not uniform across the world and is shaped by economic, geographic and demographic and other factors. तो migration जो है वो कुछ factors पर depend करता है. The case of Tamil Nadu has been mentioned. The case of Kerala has been mentioned. So this includes the data. These initial paragraphs includes the data. It is your responsibility. There is nothing to explain in the data. In this further in paragraphs, there are some of the problems mentioned. What are the problems which the migrants have to face, and also regulations along with the problems. Like the first, the welfare of Indian migrants abroad is hardly a priority for government and policymaker. Means the government is not seriously entertaining the problem of the migrants, of the Indian migrants who have shifted from India to other countries. So the government is not taking pain to make some regulations. This is claimed by the writer. I'm not claiming it. These are not my views. Obviously, the views may change from a person to person. Now, there is a regulation, Immigration Act 1983. If I go back to 83, there are around 40 years, and the migration has witnessed sea changes. the type of migration, the reasons for the migration, they have totally changed. But the government has been silent on the issue of updating that. Second problem. Though it can be related with the first one only. Fine. Now, a winter session in Parliament, there was around a document was tabled that around 9 million Indian migrants are working in GCC, Cooperation Council for Arab States of the Gulf. But these 9 million Indian migrants are facing safeguard issues. They require some reforms to safeguard the rights of the migrants and to protect them from the different discrimination. One of the major problem which these Indian migrants are facing in this GCC countries is the kafala system. Employers sponsor the employees. Sponsor is they would pay for the visa. They would help them preparing their passports. And as soon as they'll reach there, the employers will keep the passport and visa, obviously both of them together with them. Some or the other way, they are bounded with that specific employer. So the first problem is there is no change in the Immigration Act. The second problem, mainly in the Gulf countries, kafala system. Fine. Now, the South Asian countries and Asian-led campaign. Now, what Asia is doing for this? The Asian-led campaign. The South Asian countries they have started a justice for wage theft. Including their civil society organizations, scholars and migrant activists are leading a justice for wage theft campaign for the disbursement of pending salary benefits and other related dues of the labor. So, some South of Asian countries, maximum of the migrants have migrated for a single reason, and when they are not getting their objectives fulfilled, there would be a campaign of the pending salary benefits and other related dues of labor. So there is a campaign. This pandemic, this pandemic has resulted in underemployment, reduction in salaries, non-payment of salaries, non-payment of compensation, non-payment of dues. Fine. So, in conclusion, you can mention the fifth point: irregular payment, poor working conditions, negation of labor rights, the absence of proper grievance redress mechanisms, and access to a transparent judicial system. These all are the 4 to 5 problems which the Indian migrant workers are facing. Focus on women workers. So the attention should also be paid on the women migrant workforce, specifically to the GCCs, GCC countries. Women workers venture to these countries using the services of recurring agencies on account of major domestic problems. Therefore, the government should comprehensively assess the situation of migrant women, create women-centering rights-based policies. So the emphasis should also be put on the women migrant workers. a retelling of the Indian migrant workers' plight. Why recently there is a problem? The recent problem is due to COVID-19, Russia-Ukraine war, taking over of Afghanistan. This is the data. These are some of the common problems faced by the migrant workers. One of the regulation, one of the way forward can be the change in the Immigration Act, the change in the regulations, as it has not been changed since 40 years. The change is required in the Immigration Act 1983. Sorted? So there should be emphasis on women workers also. This can be the sixth point, the sixth problem. Fine. GS paper 3, economy. Focus on Africa, the heart of the global south. So India has recently got the presidency of G20. And in this G20 countries, getting a presidency of G20 countries, India needs to focus on the global south. Global south? The countries which are in the southern hemisphere. And when we are talking about the countries in the southern hemisphere, Africa can't be ignored. So India needs to look to the Africa as well. Whenever it is talking about global south, Africa. India, through the G20 presidency, intends to be remembered as the voice of the global south, at the heart of which is Africa. G20 most of the 54 countries of this continent are developing or least developed countries. Fine. So why do we need to focus on Africa? Because of our policy, because we want to be the voice of global south. And when we are talking about the global south, Africa is at the heart, actually. So GS paper 2, international relations. What US has done for Africa, what China is doing or has done for Africa, and what India should do. Khatam article. The end. आर्टिकल समझ नहीं आते हिंदू के. क्या मुश्किल. अरे उन्होंने अपनी सीधी सी भाषा में लिखा है कि भैया वॉशिंगटन समिट. वॉशिंगटन समिट, वॉशिंगटन का मतलब ही नहीं पता. वॉशिंगटन है का यूएसए में, तो सीधी सी बात है ना. USA, what USA has done? So the same month, 13 to 15 December, there was summit of USA and Africa. So what promises have been made? The President Joe Biden has said कि we would help these African countries. The leaders of 49 countries and the chair of African Union participated from Africa, 49 countries, Africa Union. And US President Joe Biden, who is yet to visit the continent, played a gracious host discussing the political, security and economic cooperation with his guests. So there were several important decisions taken. The first, that US has made a promise or has given a statement that we would seek African Union to give presidency of G20, or we would make it permanent member, permanent member of G20. Secondly, it said कि we would reform the UNSC. We would reform the UNSC, United Nations Security Council. Reformation of UNSC is in news. To include permanent representation for Africa, United States of America. Making false promises. According to me, I may be wrong as well. Maybe this new president of 21st generation may think of welfare, but it's been a lengthy history of international relations that it's only for interest. What is the interest? What is the interest of USA? Why USA has promised Africa कि भैया we will talk about permanent membership of UNSC. We will think of making you permanent member of United States Security Council. I hope you might be aware of two types of members of UNSC. The one is the permanent and the one is the non-permanent. There are 5 permanent members which are known as P5 members, and there are 10 non-permanent members which changes with time. बस इससे डिटेल में नहीं जाऊंगा मैं. So UNSC, which India has not got at least. चलो, some or the other way, we are still at a better condition than the African countries, thanks to our previous governments. But US is promising permanent membership, and the writer has said in the next line कि G20 के permanent member बनना ठीक है, US and India can do it. It would face some of the problems like Asian countries, like European Union, US and India may have to face, but reforming UNSC, it will take time. The P5 member itself is saying it will reform UNSC. There would be some interest, surely. What is the interest? Welfare. China. What is the interest? China. So, till the time there would be a threat of China being investing in USA, the USA will be interested. And as soon as China will step back, ये गलियां, ये चबारा, यहाँ आना ना दोबारा, ये गाना गाते हुए यूएस वहां से जाता दिखेगा. चलो. So these are the two promises made by USA in the Washington summit. Summits are often judged by quantum of funds. This you can read it. This is something important. Fine. Now what China is doing? So China cannot ignore the USA's efforts. So the one of the biggest thing which China is doing is investment. This is the data. US Africa trade stood at 44 billion. China Africa trades stood $254 billion. 44 billion US Africa. 254 billion China Africa. Africa has made FOCAC, that is Forum on China Africa Cooperation. This is the interest of USA. $254 billion. $44 billion. FOCAC is composed of ministers and leaders of Africa and China who meet once in 3 years. Once in 3 years. Alternatively in Beijing and an African capital. FOCAC. This is the interest of US. Belt and Road Initiative is the interest of China. With the vision of, what does China say? A community with a shared future. A community with a shared future. It also applauded the decision by the 2018 FOCAC summit in Beijing to build a China-Africa community. And China-Africa community, a community with a shared future that strives for win-win cooperation. This is the problem of US. This is why USA is saying कि भैया UNSC का आपको परमानेंट मेंबरशिप देंगे. ठीक है? So efforts, China made investment, FOCAC, promises made in the FOCAC. That is why USA has made some 2-3 promises. But when it comes to India, तो भैया we need to compare what USA is doing, what China is doing. India should also do. So India's equity in Africa is older and richer than that of China and the US, but that should not be a source of complacency. India has striven hard and in the past 2 decades to strengthen its political and economic partnership with Africa at the continental, regional, bilateral trades. Modi government has created a special momentum in arranging high-level exchanges of foreign cooperation initiatives during the 2015 to 19 period. India still doesn't have something big to lose if it invests very less in Africa, apart from some of the resources. But USA को डर बहुत ज़्यादा है, the throne of world power. That is why it is getting problem. So that is why the USA is in problem. ठीक है? So India, however, has an older and richer relation, but the interest is not big. Children have older and richer relation with their parents, but as soon as they get married, the interest changes. That richer and older relation hardly makes a difference or hardly attracts them. It's only about interest. ठीक है? But if India has a goal of global south, it should focus on Africa. Next. India's bid to beat cervical cancer. You can connect it with GS paper 3. Vaccines की बात की गई है, so you can science and technology. We have read this news around 2-3 times till now, but still, it's an important article. So the government has announced vaccines for the girls aging from 9 to 14 years of age, who with this age gap is more prone to this cervical cancer. The National Technical Advisory Group of Immunization had recommended the introduction of human papillomavirus vaccine. The virus responsible for this cancer is known as human papillomavirus. तो उसके लिए वैक्सीन की बात की गई है under the UIP, that is Universal Immunization Program. The name of the program is Universal Immunization Program. The name of the virus is human papilloma virus. The vaccine is human papilloma virus vaccine. Recommended by NTAGI, National Technical Advisory Group of Immunization. Prelims के लिए important. अभी UIP में यूनिवर्सल इम्यूनाइजेशन प्रोग्राम के अंदर there are around vaccines for 12 diseases, at least 12 diseases are there, and has successfully eradicated diseases like polio, maternal and neonatal tetanus. Sorted? Introduction. Why is it important to launch HPV vaccine? It is important to launch due to 2-3 reasons. The first is the cervical cancer is prone to the women ranging from 9 to 14 years of age. The second reason is that it is a curable cancer. It can be cured. The third reason is that as per a report, Lancet report, 58% of the cervical cancer has been observed in Asia, and the India being the greatest contributor. Accounting 21% of cases and 23% of deaths, China 18% and 17%. So this is the data given. So these are the 2-3 reasons that it is curable. The age group which it is affecting to is very sensitive age. It is a growing age. Human resources को impact कर रही है वो. It would surely impact the sex ratio. And as per data, Asia is mostly affected. When will it be rolled out? The indigenous HPV vaccine called CERVAC is likely to be rolled out by mid 2023, and the vaccine has got approval of the Drugs Controller General of India and was declared by the Government Advisory Panel NTAGI for use in the UAP program. तो approval मिल चुकी है भाई, mid 2023 तक ये आ जाएगी. Fine. What happens to girls who don't go to school? Those who don't, normally the vaccine would be made because this age of 19 to 14 years, most of the girls would be found in the school in the working days. And that would be a better reach rather than going door to door to every house. It's better to get them vaccinated in the school. Time बचेगा. What happens to girls those who don't go to school? तो उनके लिए हम एक कम्युनिटी आउटरीच बनाएंगे, मोबाइल हेल्थ टीम्स बनाएंगे जो जगह जगह जाकर ये काम करेगी. स्क्रीनिंग प्रोग्राम्स होंगे, ठीक है, आयुष्मान भारत वेलनेस सेंटर के अंदर. तो ये इस तरीके से. व्हाट आर द चैलेंजेस? The biggest challenge is geographical and socio-economic inequalities in cervical cancer globally. Now, what happens is this cervical cancer is different in different regions. There is inequalities in cervical cancer depending upon the geographical region and the socio-economic region. तो वो चेंजेस हैं कुछ. तो इट मे बी पॉसिबल कि उस ज्योग्राफिकल चेंजेस के कारण वो वैक्सीन काम करे और ना करे. द सेकेंड challenge is in 2022 India ranked 132 out of 190 countries on the Human Development Index. Very low. What lies ahead? Once the vaccine is launched through the UAP, which is a well-oiled network in India, it should reach the maximum number of the targeted population. The surveillance systems and infrastructure used for COVID-19 vaccine may also be customized to improve HPV vaccination. So, question सामने लिखे हुए. I think I don't need to brief it up. Why it is important? 2-3 points. When it will be rolled out by 2023, who will roll out? Those who don't go to school, unke liye. What are the challenges? What lies ahead? Simple. What is the CAG audit report on Assam NRC? First of all, the story behind Assam's NRC. The issue is of around 2012, 13. When there was an NGO. NGO filed a case, said, sir, our economic condition has been worsened. Why? And due to which our social condition has worsened. Obviously, when you won't have a money in your pocket, the standard of living will change. So they told the story. The story is, they told the story to the Supreme Court. Said Supreme Court, Judge Saab, do you remember 1971? Bilkul. And the war which took place in 1971, bilkul. Then you also might be able to recall that the East Pakistan was made independent, or was, you can say कि अलग कर दिया गया था वो from the West Pakistan, and this East Pakistan was made Bangladesh. Now the condition of the Bangladesh, the economic condition of the Bangladesh was not good. So for money, migration for money. So from Bangladesh, many illegal migrants shifted to Assam. Now as they were illegal migrants, they were in need of money. So these illegal migrants worked at the wages which were too below than the actual wages, the normal average wages in that region. They worked for, let's say, rupees 20 an hour. But our minimum rate was, let's say, 70 an hour. A businessman would never think of ki I should work only to the persons who are Indians, who are not illegal migrants. You can see that I am able to save rupees 50 from every person, and if I am 5,000, 10,000 person working, so I am able to save 50 to 70,000 in an hour. They started working. Now being businessmen, they had relations with the politicians as well. So their Aadhaar cards were formed. Sure. Their Aadhaar card were formed. Sir, their ration cards were formed. Acha. So what? Sir, their voter cards were also formed. The Supreme Court said, what's the problem? You know illegal migrants? हमें पता है ना कि आप citizen नहीं हो. Throw them out. Don't give them work. I'll take an action. Sir, there is a document required to prove your citizenship. Only there are 3 documents which can prove your citizenship: passport, birth certificate, and voter card. These illegal migrants have got their voter cards. Then Supreme Court started thinking this is a big problem. Means these voter cards were made. These voter cards were made through illegal measures, through illegal processes. So Supreme Court said कि sir, what is the problem now? Said you need to form National Register of Citizens. You need to form a National Register for Citizens. But sir, अब तो इनके भी वोटर कार्ड्स बन गए हैं. What to do now? The national last time कब बना था National Register of Citizens? सर लास्ट टाइम बना था 1951 के सेंसस में. एक पूरी लिस्ट एनआरसी, एक पूरी लिस्ट जिसके अंदर सिटीजन्स का नाम. सेंसस में क्या होता है? सब लोगों का नाम होता है, रेजिडेंट्स, नॉन रेजिडेंट. रेजिडेंट्स का नाम होता है, दे मे बी सिटीजन्स और नॉन सिटीजन्स, बट इसके अंदर सिर्फ सिटीजन्स का नाम होता है. सो एनआरसी इज अ सबसेट ऑफ सेंसस. तो सेट की एनआरसी बना दो 1951 के बेसिस पर. जिनका नाम 1951 के एनआरसी में था उनका नाम तो रहेगा. उनसे रिलेटेड बच्चों का नाम भी रहेगा. या फिर 1971 से पहले जो इलेक्शंस हुए थे उसमें वोटर कार्ड्स होंगे किसी के? वोटर कार्ड्स होंगे. वोटर कार्ड इज अ वैलिड डॉक्यूमेंट फॉर सिटीजनशिप. सो उनका नाम भी होना चाहिए इसके अंदर. तो व्हेन यू विल फॉर्म एनआरसी, मेक श्योर जो अब एनआरसी बनाओगे, नई एनआरसी बनाओगे आसाम के लिए, आप मेक श्योर कि उन लोगों का नाम या तो 1951 के एनआरसी में हो या फिर 1971 से पहले जो इलेक्शंस हुए हो उसमें हो. जस्ट पहले जो इलेक्शंस हुए हो उनमें उनका नाम. अगर आपका नाम नहीं है तो यू विल हैव टू शो अ डॉक्यूमेंट which will ensure your blood relation with any person जिनका नाम इसमें है. This was the issue when they said we will not show documents हमारे गायें खा गई है, डॉक्यूमेंट्स हमारे जल गए हैं. कुछ केसेस हो सकते हैं गायें खा गई है, डॉक्यूमेंट्स तो नहीं, जल गया, घर जल गया था, उसके अंदर डॉक्यूमेंट्स जल गए थे, तो एफआईआर हुई होगी. घर जब जला होगा तो एफआईआर हुई होगी. या कोई ऐसा इंसिडेंट हुआ होगा, एफआईआर नहीं हुई, आप झोपड़ी में रहते थे, कोई बात नहीं, पुलिस के पास उस चीज की रिपोर्ट होगी कि 10 झोपड़ियों को उस समय आग लगी थी, किसने लगाई थी. हमारे पास डॉक्यूमेंट्स नहीं. चलो, दैट इज अ पॉलिटिकल इशू, रेस्ट यू कैन थिंक ओवर. तो इन लोगों से रिलेटेड आपको ब्लड रिलेशन दिखाना पड़ेगा, तो ही आपको सिटीजनशिप इसकी, आपकी सिटीजनशिप, देन ओनली यू विल बी कंसीडर्ड एज अ सिटीजन. तो वो एनआरसी की बात हुई थी. अब प्रॉब्लम क्या हुई है? अब जिसको एनआरसी बनाने के लिए बोला था, उन्होंने बोला कि इतने पैसे लगे हैं. लगे कितने? x-2. इतने लगे नहीं, इससे कम लगे हैं. तो कंट्रोलर एंड ऑडिटर जनरल काम क्या है? ऑडिट करना. पैसे कहां लगे? आपने तो पैसे मांग लिए. 2019 में इसकी रिपोर्ट निकल कर आती है आसाम एनआरसी. आपने तो पैसे मांग लिए, वो है ऑडिटर जनरल. तो पैसा कहां लगा? Auditor General of India, Comptroller CAG, report on update exercise of National Register of Citizens in Assam has flagged serious irregularities, including haphazard development of software for the exercise, making it prone to data tampering and flagged undue profits worth crores amassed by the system integrator by violating the Minimum Wages Act. So आपने एक तो पैसा ज्यादा लगाया, ऊपर से जो लोगों को पैसा देना था, जो सिस्टम इंटीग्रेटर था विप्रो, सॉफ्टवेयर वगैरह बनाना, सॉफ्टवेयर में प्रॉब्लम थी, उसमें आपने नीचे वाले लोगों को पैसा कम दिया. This is the story mentioned which I have just discussed. What are the CAG's concern? CAG's concern is कि the deadline of completion of NRC was February 2015 and the project cost was pegged at 288 crores. 2022 तक आते आते वो 5 गुना इंक्रीज हो गया. Due to additional time to complete it and changes in the update software. तो सॉफ्टवेयर में अपडेट करने के लिए और टाइम ज्यादा लगने के कारण उन्होंने 288 करोड़ को 5 टाइम इंक्रीज कर दिया. The final draft of document was, however, published in August 2019, and the project cost escalated to rupees 1600 crore. Expenditure of 157 crore was reported. Cost कितनी होगी? Expected कितना था? Report कितना किया? 1579. So it said that a test check of records revealed irregularities. The report revealed irregularities in the utilization of funds, including excess and inadmissible payment to vendors. या तो ज्यादा दी है या फिर कम दी, किसी को बहुत ज्यादा दी, किसी को कम दी है. तो इसमें इन्होंने विप्रो को भी पकड़ा है और कैग ने रिकमेंड क्या किया कि विप्रो का अगेंस्ट केस करेंगे. मिनिमम वेजेस एक्ट को वायलेट किया आपने, पैसे कम दिए उनको आगे. कैग ऑडिट रिपोर्ट ऑन असम एनआरसी. व्हाट इज असम एनआरसी डिस्कस कर लिया. चलो नेक्स्ट. Election Commission to begin delimitation exercise on Assam to use census figures of 2001. Oh, is related. What is delimitation commission? What is delimitation commission? देखो 1971 सेंसस छोड़ो, डेमोक्रेसी is all about population. जितनी ज्यादा पॉपुलेशन उतनी बड़ी डेमोक्रेसी. हमने क्या किया? वी सेड कि 1971 सेंसस के हिसाब से जो पॉपुलेशन है ना, उसके हिसाब से हमने सीट्स बनाई. लोकसभा में, राज्यसभा में, स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली में, और बोला इसको फ्रीज कर रहे हैं 2026 तक, क्योंकि 2026 तक आते आते हमें कोई नहीं दिख रहा कि हम पॉपुलेशन जिस लेवल से इंक्रीज हो रही है उतने लेवल से सीट्स इंक्रीज कर सके. क्यों सीट्स इंक्रीज करनी, जितने लेवल से पॉपुलेशन इंक्रीज करनी है? अरे भैया रिप्रेजेंटेशन अच्छी करनी है. एक एमपी और एमएलए पे 10,000 लोग हो तो समझ आता है, 1 लाख लोग हो तो समझ आता है, लेकिन एक एमपी एमएलए पे 20 से 30 लाख लोग हो तो बुरा हालत. मिल ही नहीं सकते आप. 10 लाख लोग हो तो बुरी हालत, मिल ही नहीं सकते आप उससे. तो इसलिए बोला कि 1971 के सेंसस के हिसाब से जो सीट्स बनी है उनको फ्रीज कर रहे हैं 2026 तक. इसका मतलब 2026 के बाद जब इलेक्शन होंगे तो हमें ये सीट्स को इंक्रीज करना पड़ेगा. बट लोकसभा के अंदर तो हमारे पास सीट्स लिमिटेड है. अरे बैठने के लिए लिमिटेड है प्रभु, नीचे थोड़ी बिठाओगे. बैठने के लिए लिमिटेड है, तो मतलब हमें नई बिल्डिंग की जरूरत है. सेंट्रल विस्टा. मोदी गवर्नमेंट इज स्पेंडिंग 3,000 करोड़ रुपीज. डिबेट करने लग जाते हो, कोविड चल रहा है. प्रभु ये उन्होंने किया था. I'm not in favor of any government, but before saying a statement, please research it. Don't get into illogical debates. This should be the background. So the seats were freezed in 2026. Now the seats cannot be changed, but the population is increasing. So what happens is, let's say this is a state. Let's say this is a state, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 constituencies. So what can be done is कि यहां पर भी एक एमएलए है, यहां पर भी है, यहां पर भी है, यहां पर भी और यहां पर भी एक एमएलए है. तो एटलीस्ट इतना तो कर सकते हैं ना कि इन सब एमएलएस को 1 लाख लोग ही रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हो. ऐसा ना हो ना कि यहां पर इस एमएलए को 10 लाख लोग इस एमएलए से रिप्रेजेंट हो रहे हो और यहां पर 1 लाख लोग से रिप्रेजेंट हो रहे हो. ये तो नहीं कर सकते ना. आप सीट्स नहीं बढ़ा सकते, बट इनका जो प्रोपोर्शन है वो तो बराबर रख सकते हो. हाँ, कैसे रखोगे? माइग्रेशन हो जाती है इधर से उधर. मान लो यहां पर 10 लाख हो गया तो इसका एरिया छोटा कर देंगे. ये कौन करेगा? डिलिमिटेशन कमीशन. तो वो बात हो रही है. ठीक है. I just wanted to explain you what is the purpose of delimitation commission. बाकी आप पढ़ सकते हो. Election Commission to begin delimitation exercise in Assam to use census figures of 2001. अब समझ आया? Sorted. बैकग्राउंड पता होना चाहिए. ये तो पढ़ सकते हो खुद. डिलिमिटेशन कमीशन क्या है, नहीं क्यों है, ये जरूरी है. क्यों है तो समझ आ गया, तो क्या है तो समझ आ ही जाएगा. अगर आपको यह समझ आ गया कि क्यों है, कि डिलिमिटेशन कमीशन क्यों है, क्योंकि वो फ्रीज किया हुआ है, वो हिलाना पड़ जाता है. और वो मार्जिन मतलब आपके वो प्रोपोर्शन ऐसा होना चाहिए कि 15% का मार्जिन नहीं हिलना चाहिए. 15% का मार्जिन हिलने का मतलब है कि अगर 15% से मार्जिन 15% से ज्यादा का डिफरेंस आएगा. लेट्स से एक एवरेज आ रहा है यहां पर 1 लाख, 1 लाख पॉपुलेशन. लेट्स से एवरेज 1 लाख पॉपुलेशन. सो किसी एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी में 85,000 से नीचे 15% हो गया ना. 85,000 से नीचे नहीं हो सकता और 1,15,000 सुपर पॉपुलेशन नहीं हो सकती. अगर उससे ज्यादा होगी तो फिर हमें डिलिमिटेशन कमीशन का काम आएगा और फिर उसका साइज चेंज करेंगे. सो क्यों है डिलिमिटेशन कमीशन, वो समझ आया. अब क्या है तो पढ़ सकते हो आप. स्लाइड्स बनाता रहो, उसमें लिखा हुआ ऐसे पढ़ाता रहो. ठीक है, सॉर्टेड. चलो, दैट्स ऑल फॉर टुडे. सी यू इन द नेक्स्ट लेक्चर. बाय देन, टेक केयर.